A lot of you are planning on Christmas shopping this weekend. Before you spend money on a toaster that nobody's going to use, watch this live stream.
Through the white thunderstorms, we ride on the back of our truckers in a fearless stride. Sons of gold, hearts made of fire, conquering lands, fueling our desires. Roaring engines and lightning in our eyes, united we stand. Our strength won't compromise. From the east to the west, we sail we roll with our warriors. Never feel alone. Landscapes of freedom beneath open skies, a promised land where our spirits arise. We battle the storms, the tides of the sea. Now we've arrived in the land we're meant to be.
All right, welcome to the DragonShip. I am your host, Paul Bauer, and this is the only panel show on the internet where we fully believe that a rising tide lifts all ships. Joining me on the panel today is my man, Mike Steele. Mike, what do you got going on?
I'm enjoying a 4-day weekend here in Vegas. It's sunny but chilly with a little bit of a breeze. Apparently, I'm a polar explorer in training. At least that's what the people on the street told me yesterday. And I'm building a brand new Lego set, and I am just kicking back and isolating, and I'm having a great time. Thank you for the invitation.
Huds, what do you got going on, brothers?
Well, I have been off this entire week, and to keep myself occupied, I have been building a lot of different Legos. I got the Daily Bugle here with I don't know Spider-Man, so I got a whole bunch of characters that I have no idea who they are, but they look really cool. That's kind of all I've been up to.
Wow, you're getting everybody on this Lego train, and it's disgusting. Charles,
Yeah, I'm glad to see. I'm glad to see Huds. You know, after the flooding in his house, he was able to get his Lego Ark built. Now he's back to building more Lego in the Lego Ark. Awesome, man.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, that was a nightmare last week.
So Charles, what do you got going on, man?
Same shit, different day, more or less, but continuing to work on, building things out. I was just on, like an almost 10-hour panel with, Glenn talking about RP stuff, correcting a lot of the people that haven't bothered doing their homework, but continue to act like they did.
That's always fun. You can always tell the guys that haven't read the books. Kevin from Men of Now, you're on mute, brother. Make sure you unmute yourself. But what do you got going on?
Just like everybody else, enjoying the 5-day weekend. Happy late Thanksgiving to all you guys. I hope y'all had a good one. But other than that, just stay in the path.
Great. AJ, I didn't think you were going to join us today, man. I'm glad you're here.
I like money.
Fair enough.
I am covering tonight for one of my coworkers. He decided to take Thanksgiving today with his family, so I'm going in tonight to cover for him. He's actually the other lead, so it works out in my favor.
Nice.
Yeah, about it.
Sounds good. So it's interesting. Mike's got a Lego ship, and Huds has Lego Spider-Man. And he doesn't know anything about Spider-Man. So that sort of leads us into our topic today about buying shit you don't need. So that's the case, right? I'm going to make the case today that modern consumerism, when it comes to Christmas, is not only a waste of your time and money, but it's also a psyop. And before we get into this, let me play the short video to give you some food for thought. And I saw this the other day, and I knew this a little bit, but I didn't know how deep it went, and it really blew my mind. So check out this lecture from this professor explaining the history of Santa Claus in the United States.
So a little bit over, or around, I should say, 125 years ago, Coca-Cola was doing the math on its sales. I believe by that point it had already abandoned the cocaine content. It was just cola at that point. But once you name something cocaine cola, how do you ever walk back from that? You know what I mean? It's too good of a name. So they noticed something. people bought Coca-Cola in the summer. A little bit in the fall, a little bit in spring, not in the winter. People didn't think of it as a winter drink. So the Coca-Cola advertisers were like, well, wouldn't it be great if we could somehow trick people or convince people or talk people or coax or whatever, brainwash people into drinking Coca-Cola in the winter too. So here's what Coca-Cola advertisers came up with. They thought, what if we somehow worked Coca-Cola into Christmas? Now, I know what you're thinking, Christmas is such a big deal. Not back then. Back then, Easter was the big deal. Christmas was important. People would go do Mass to commemorate Christ's birth, but everybody's bored. The real interesting thing is to be killed, executed, and then come back 2 days later. That's fascinating, which is why people had focused on Easter. So what the Coca-Cola advertisers did was, they found a saint who was about to be decanonized, Santa Claus. The Catholic Church was like, he hasn't performed a miracle in a while, let's unemploy him. They grabbed him, they merged him with the story of Saint Nick, and then somebody got inspired. And the inspiration was to merge him with Kris Kringle. Kris Kringle was a Danish thief whose job in the day was a chimney sweep. He could pop his shoulders out and he could fit down a chimney. He would rob your house and then work his way back up, but you'd have a clean chimney. And they merged this together, but they then took St. Nicholas out. He was usually portrayed as a skinny young man in green and brown clothing. They stuck him in Coca-Cola colors, red and white. They even decided to give him some pink in his skin to keep the Coca-Cola colors going. So they made him an old man so he could have white hair. And then they stuck him on the bottle. That's why periodically you'll see Santa Claus on a Coca-Cola bottle or a Coca-Cola can around Christmas time. Because they made him up. And they transformed Christmas. So instead of Christmas being an important event, but not an especially emotional event, an especially involved event necessarily. I mean, there were nice traditions around it, stockings and maybe a Christmas tree. They turned it into this thing where all of a sudden this mythical being who drinks a lot of Coca-Cola is bringing you presents. I guess that's how he stays up so late, because think about how many hours it would take to bring presents to everybody. And in the process now, the average Christian in the United States at least thinks Christmas is the important Christian holiday. And it's forced other religions to think about what holiday they could promote during that time period, like Hanukkah. Hanukkah was never especially important. I mean, it's important, but not like, you wouldn't evolve like a whole bunch of time and energy and effort around it. But then, right, if you're Jewish and you're like looking at your kids going, we wish we had a Christmas tree, you need something to compete with this.
Isn't that fascinating? One company, in order to drive up sales of their drink, fundamentally changed our paradigm of Christmas, and now it's one big consumer circle jerk.
That's insane. I had no idea.
Although I will say, I actually know the full history going back to the actual original tribal origins of Santa Claus, which I dubbed the Red Pill origin of Santa Claus, and we read it at Christmas time last year in the Fresh and Fit Discord. I'm considering doing something similar and having my friend Chris Ish, that does all the reading, actually do the reading of the actual origin, because he kind of glossed over the chimney sweep stuff. It's actually a little bit more to do with yurts. So,
well, can you just give us a Cliff's Notes?
Well, basically, it goes all the way back to Russia tribals, and the outfit with the black boots and the red and stuff like that was actually a leather outfit, and the black boots were from the winter snow and stuff like that, basically frostbiting the leather. And there was a ritualistic thing that they would do every holiday where when they would get snowed in, the yurts would be snowed in. And so the tribal chieftain would wise man would have to go down the yurt vent for the fire And that's where the guy going down the fireplace went. And later on in the UK is where the chimney sweep stuff came in, because they continued, those little mushrooms that are red with the white dots. That's actually a type of mushroom that those shamans would actually get, and they would actually distill it through reindeer urine because it was too toxic to consume, but it would make you trip balls and make you feel like you were flying. And so the reindeer, when you see those random reindeer sometimes and they're prancing very effortlessly, fun fact, that was what my ancestors were apparently into, was doing the Norse Vikings. They got into doing those sort of shrooms to enhance their battle performance, thus the berserkers from the Norse. So Santa Claus used to get the Norse Vikings all jacked up. I don't remember the name of the mushrooms off the top of my head. My apologies, but I probably wouldn't want to tell people anyway. But yeah, they grow wild. They are red and white, and they get you high as fuck. And so Santa would show up with the reindeer piss in a thing, or what they would do is that they would take the mushrooms and dry them in socks over the fire.
Wow.
Stockings. That's fascinating.
So that's kind of the Cliff Notes. It goes into a little bit more detail, but look for that in the near future, coming up in Christmas time.
All right.
I'm a Krampus fan myself.
Now, I used to be the kind of guy that would impulse buy all the cool gadgets. Woot.com, ThinkGeek.com were some of my favorite online places to buy crap that was cool. I thought was cool, but I would literally never use, right? And then I read Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, and it fundamentally changed the way I looked at things and money. And I remember opening my garage door at my last house one day, and I had boxes and boxes of stuff from when I moved out to Colorado from California, still sitting in my garage there, just taking up the entire garage. It'd been there for years. I'd already been living there for several years, and the boxes were still full, and I had never used them. And I was like, holy crap, I don't need any of this stuff. All that used to be money. I clearly don't need it, or else it would be out of the box right now, right?
Well, the solution, though, according to George Carlin, is you got to get a new place for more stuff.
Right. Well, see, that's what consumerism teaches us, right? You got to have a bigger place to put all your stuff, when it's like, no, stop buying crap that you're not going to use, So anyway, I just remember sitting there looking at all this stuff going, man, how much would I have now if I had just socked that away in a Roth IRA or a 401k, maximize my 401k or something like that, right? Put it in Bitcoin or whatever. And then I read a book called The Millionaire Next Door, which told me that wealthy people, like truly wealthy people, I'm not talking about, guys that are consumer rich where they have a lot of credit card debt and they have McMansions and Bugattis and stuff like that, but they are legit millionaires. That book really highlighted the fact that most legit millionaires that truly have like liquid wealth, they prefer spending their money on quality items that last or doing things that are meaningful rather than buying shit that they are never going to use, right? So it got me thinking, because it is Black Friday weekend, right? A lot of guys are going to be going out doing some Christmas shopping this weekend. That's probably what most people are going to be doing. So when making Christmas shopping decisions, I came up with a list of reasons why spending money on quality items or meaningful experiences is better than accumulating consumer debt for Christmas gifts nobody's going to use or they need, right? So each one of these are broken down into different categories. So the categories are quality over quantity, meaningful experiences, financial responsibility, or emotional well-being. And I just want to sort of, we'll go through different ideas and we'll just kind of go around the horn and get everyone's take on some of this stuff. So the first one I have here is, this goes under quality over quantity, but the idea that durability saves money. So high quality items last longer, reducing the need for frequent replacements and ultimately saving money in the long run. What's a good idea for that? What do you think, Mike? I'll throw this over to you. I'm thinking, a lot of times people buy me kitchen shit, right? But they'll buy me like cheap ass barberware crap from Walmart.
Plastic, yeah.
And it's like, one, I don't need this. I already have a knife set, you know. But like, if you're going to buy someone a gift like that, like make sure it's a good quality gift, right? Or don't buy them anything at all. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I would say, yeah, if you buy someone a cheap piece of crap, it just shows you don't love them. And what I mean by that is, yeah, like the cheap knife set or basically something that's going to fall apart. And I'm being very tongue-in-cheek about it. But if you were to analyze your own life, because it's not just about buying things for other people, it's also about what you purchase for yourself. There are definitely areas you do not want to skip out on. Your mattress, that's one of them. Kitchen knives, that's another one. Mix and match. You know, there's no law that says you have to get everything at IKEA. But what I figured out is you splurge where it needs to be done, and then you cut back where you can. For example, my mattress was $1,000, but then my bed frame was $250, and then my nightstand tables that match the bed frame but are from the other side of the planet were $20 a piece, but they match. How is that possible? Well, because it's possible. So just because I buy $1,000 mattress doesn't mean I need a $500 nightstand, right? So definitely invest where it counts. And I would say, like, craft, like, consumables. So, like, maybe one nice, really bottle of whiskey, right, for your dad or something, or gourmet chocolates imported from Switzerland, something like that. That's something where you can't really go wrong with. If you give a damn about any woman, whether it's your sister, your mom, don't get chocolate from Walmart. Don't do that.
All right. Does anyone else want to chime in on this idea of quality over quantity?
Yeah, I can go ahead and hop in on it because it's interesting. I'm actually really glad that you're doing this topic here, Paul. A mindset shift for me, like I don't do gifts anymore. It's weird. And with my girlfriend, she prefers experiences over actual physical, tangible goods. And I just think, like, growing up, how that consumerism really did, it was so deeply ingrained in the families. I remember Christmas Eve every year, going to see one like family friends, and then there's a whole gift exchange. And then the next morning, it's gift opening with me and my sister. And then that night, it's the gift exchange with my immediate family. And it just was so much. And there were so many times that it's just like, why? Like, I don't need this. I don't want this. Like, why are we even spending money on it? Like, why is this a part of culture? And so it's interesting. And it's definitely going to be how I raise my family. Like, with my kids, probably, I'm still probably going to get presents every year, but it's probably going to be like a list of 10. So maybe like 10 gifts or something, and not like, 10 it's not like 10 Xboxes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's going to be more like that. Even just this past year for my girlfriend's birthday, I didn't get her anything. I didn't get her a card. But the following weekend, I took her to Montreal. So it's about those memories and those types of experiences. And I think that when it comes to quality over quantity, that's where you can really get that higher quality.
Now, Paul, I don't mean to take anything from the other panelists. I had to Google this because I didn't think you were going to call on me first. This is actually a better example. Can I show it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I was thinking of when you asked me that question. All right, so most people know who Terry Pratchett is. So the boots. So the reason the rich were so rich, Vine's reasoned, was because they managed to spend less money. Take Boots, for example. He earned $38 a month plus allowances. A really good pair of leather boots cost $50. But an affordable pair of boots, which were the sort of okay for a season or two, and then leaked like hell when the cardboard gave out, cost about $10. Those were the kind of boots Vimes had always bought and wore until the soles were so thin that he could tell where he was in Ankh-Morpork on a foggy night by the feel of the cobbles. But the thing was that the good boots lasted for years and years. A man who could afford $50 had a pair of boots that he'll still keep that'll still be keeping his feet dry in 10 years' time, while the poor man who could only afford a cheap pair would have spent $100 on boots at the same time and would still have wet feet.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was what my parents did when I was growing up. They would always buy me like the cheap, Walmart shoes, or they'd buy me the Payless shoes, whatever. And they would always fall apart after a couple months. But I had that paradigm of, yeah, this is what you do. Like, you don't spend a lot of money on shoes and they're disposable. But then as I got older and realized, no, actually, if you spend money on a good pair of shoes, even if you can't afford them, like with this paycheck, you just sock a little bit of money aside until you can. It will last you way longer if you buy a better pair down the road. So
yeah, I agree. Cause like I have a pair of Red Wings that I wear for work, and I've had them, 3-4 years now, and the heel's going a little bit from riding the motorcycle, but other than that, the boots are hanging up fine. I know we're talking about Christmas gifts, but I know one area that sometimes buying the more expensive, higher end products is not better. And look at like automobiles. It's cheaper and probably better for you to buy a Toyota Camry than it is to buy a 911 at the end of the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
This sweater I'm wearing is 10 years old.
Yeah, the boots are a good example because a good pair of leather boots won't even last 10 years. They'll last like 100 years if they're well taken care of and maintained properly. And it doesn't require that much money.
Yeah, and also, I mean, if you get a good pair of boots, sometimes you just take it to a cobbler, you can get them resold for cheaper than a new pair of boots. So it's like they literally will last a long time.
Yeah, and if you get Red Wings usually has very good customer service. Like if I bring my boots in there, they'll probably charge me $30-$40 to put on new soles because the heels are being destroyed from riding them on the motorcycle.
Cobbler, Paul? What speak is this? What language?
They're around.
A cobbler is somebody whose trade is working on shoes.
Viking, I know what a cobbler is.
It was for the audience.
That come out at night
okay.
because they've been drinking all day, and then the elves come out and fix the shoes. Everyone knows this. So.
Exactly.
With that repair on the
actually had a
soles,
cobbler tell me that
there
one
and
time. It's all the elves.
They'll sit there, re-clean them, refinish them, re-waterproof them for free. So
yeah,
buy like Red Wings. I'd say Thursday's another good boot company to look at, especially if you're looking for like dress boots.
There's a few of them out there, but going to the quantity versus quality, like that's literally my brand motto, more or less. Because like all this computer equipment I have in the studio, like it might seem very flamboyant and over the top, and that's for effect because this is more or less a full-on like gaming studio, like a prototype. I can literally duplicate this for a client with very little issue. Now, sourcing certain parts could be an issue because, once again, like Mike said, certain things are sourced from different areas for cost effect. So I get the best quality products for every link in all these little chains of wires going around the room to get all this cool shit and at the least amount of cost possible. And buying things like splurging on the computers. The same computers I got running over here are the same effective build, like all the parts. The only thing that's different is it's a slightly less graphics card for Myron's computer. Same build though. And I built that in 2022. And I build these computers with that philosophy of buying parts that I know are compatible, first and foremost. Everything's compatible, so you're not going to get any bottlenecks or conflicts. And all the speed between the CPU, GPU, RAM, and all that stuff is all free-flowing, so there's no roadblocks. And you spend more to do this, but the result is a computer that is more or less guaranteed to last for a minimum of 5, more like 10 years. And that thing, this computer I got for the gaming computer, I'll still be gaming computers on perfect graphics at bare minimum at 1080p in the next 5 years still. Easily. Yep. And it will run.
Like my computer, Viking, not a single blue screen, and I built it in 2019.
Yep.
Yeah. That's all very nerdy. Look, just kidding. Let's talk about meaningful experiences. Someone asked in the chat here, what'd they say? Can we give an example? What was it? I'm trying to find it here. Yeah, there we go. An example of creating memories this holiday season is it a cruise, vacation, going out? It doesn't even have to be that much. One of the things that I like doing with Nurse Chick is we take a weekend and go to, sometimes we'll even just go out for the day, but we'll go to Glenwood. They have a really cool hot springs there called Iron Mountain Hot Springs, and just go there for the day, soak in the tub, drink alcohol, and Yeah, it could just be as meaningful as spending some time like that together, and you'll always remember that kind of stuff.
I got one for Mighty Zane here. Depending on where you live, if you have driving access to a part of the country that will get like cozy this holiday season and snow, like I'm not too far from Reno. Cabins are really cheap in the winter because nobody wants to be cold. They're mostly in the spring and summer. That's when the cabin rental prices go up. So you can rent a cabin on Lake Tahoe for dirt cheap and just do it for a weekend and then stoke the fire and sip cocoa and cuddle up naked in your animal hide blankets and have a grand old time.
Yeah. Yeah. Groupon always has a lot of good stuff like that too. Before we get to the next topic, let's get these super chats real quick. So Siege D sent a $9.99 super chat. We're going to bump that up to a penny, just because I got a cool video for you guys who send $10 or more. But go ahead and read this, Mike, and then I'll play the thank you video.
$10 from Siege D. Thank you very much. Plenty of times I've gotten an idea or plan to do something. I get warned that it might fail or I'd get hurt. Sometimes it comes true. How do I not let that L make me lose confidence in myself?
I always look at there's no such thing as winning and losing, just winning and learning. So you just learned what not to do, right?
Yeah, no losses, only lessons.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, as long as you're not dead, you win.
There you go. All right. Thanks for the super chat.
Thank you for the super chats. Movies bouncing, can't stop that. From the east to the west, you are the best. Keep those chats coming in, let's do it all again.
I was told that my original bouncing blubs video didn't have good quality blubs, so I had to get some better quality blubs.
I like that bartender.
We need more of that Asian at the end.
Yeah. She's the only one with the tattoos. She has tattoos, AJ. Did you not see that?
Red flags and green flags.
Just kidding. We have another super chat. He didn't send $10, so I'm going to give him the horn, and then we'll let's see here. Yeah, we'll give him the horn, and I'll let Mike read that. Yeah, with sign language.
Ken Rose with the sorry. Ken Rose with the $5 super chat.
Oh, hold on. I have it.
Hey, he's got the loop turned on.
Yeah, there we go.
It's fine. Thank you very much, Ken Rose, for the support. Guys, if you have a question and you super chat that question, it is guaranteed to be answered.
Yes, indeed. And if it's $10 or more, you get the bouncing bub. So,
and there's a 20 as well, right?
No, I only have that one today. I took the shaking booty video down, so we'll give it all.
Okay.
$10 or more, you get.
Gotta bring it back. Bring it back, Paul. The people want answers.
They want the shaking butt video.
They want the boobs and the booty.
Let's talk about meaningful experiences. So I have here that memories, unlike things, especially if they're cheap crap that's going to fall apart in a couple months, right? Memories tend to last a lifetime. Like, unless you get dementia or something like that, no one can take a memory from you, right? So unlike physical gifts, experiences create stories and memories that you can cherish forever. I want to throw this over to Kevin. He's been very quiet. So what do you think about that?
No, I completely agree with that. You know, we touched on like consumer, how Coca-Cola basically commercialized Christmas over Easter, which was a bigger holiday for the time, and got away from the religious meaning of it. And it basically turned kids my age. I'm Gen X, but I can remember Christmas when it came around. We always wanted the latest and the greatest. And if our friends got it and we didn't, we were mad at our parents. And that was a very bad example to set, especially for guys that have kids now, because it's going to be the same thing. So creating memorable experiences, taking your kids on an adventure that they won't forget, rather than spending $5,000 on stuff that's going to be broken, lost, or sold by your kid by the next year, is a far better way to teach them the importance of not even being frugal, but what religion and Christmas and Easter, what all that shit about, what it means to you, instead of being commercialized by marketing that obviously works because whatever Coca-Cola did, it worked.
It definitely worked. Definitely worked. Does anyone else want to talk about the memories lasting a lifetime?
Well,
yeah,
I can
actually-
hop in again with one other story because I know I kind of touched on this before when I'm thinking about like gift giving and this quality over quantity type of thing. So I know this was like very sporadic, but on my third date with my girlfriend, I booked a weekend for us in Asbury Park because she had mentioned it was her favorite beach town, and it's
On
actually
the
where
third date. Holy shit, dude.
Yep, and it's actually where Bruce Springsteen rose to fame. So it's a very there's a lot of history there. And the way I looked at it was, I want to get away anyways, so why not? You want to come with me? And there was actually a moment in the art installation that they have there where I had somebody else take a photo of us, where it was the two of us together, and it says we fell in love here right in between it. And she's laughing and I'm looking at her. It's a really nice photo. And then I actually used that around Christmas time to get a paint by numbers, which she loves doing the paint by numbers. So now we have, and AJ can attest to it, I think he saw it when he was here, we have a paint by numbers version painting of that photo right in our living room here. So that's a way to create a memory, and those types of things last longer because we have the memory, plus we have, we got that on top of
it. Shout out to Masculine Geek, by the way. How you doing, Vince?
Vince, you son of a bitch.
I got something to say on that too.
Yeah.
And this is the story, AJ. So you will see very quickly why I'm not with this woman anymore. So I was dating a Moldovan lady. Moldova actually has one of the biggest wine cellars in the world. Fun fact. But anyway, we were talking about this kind of thing and how I was actually doing the thing that I like to do up in Oregon, which is rent a cabin and with the hot springs and all that, have a nice little sexy weekend with the lady. And when she found out, she said, I do not like this. And I'm like, why? And she's like, I want jewelry. I want something I can see and wear. And I said, why? And she said, because this you do this and it's gone forever. It's just a memory. But a bracelet, a ring, I can wear it and look at it forever.
Seems legit.
Yeah, so guys, anytime a woman brings up love languages and she says hers is gift giving, she just wants free shit.
That's kind of always been my I don't like bringing up love languages because love languages is bullshit, but if a woman ever says gift giving and acts of service, those are my love languages, I'm immediately like, red flag, bitch.
I got one little memory story which turned out to be failure in the end.
Okay.
So Christmas 2020, I am with my now ex-fiance. She was not my fiance yet. I hadn't had Christmas in 10 years with my parents. So I came up with the bright idea. I'm going to propose at my grandmother's house. So I did that. 2 months later, she cheats. 10 months later, or a year later, we're broken up. So there's some memories for you.
Oh, well, now that we're all depressed, let's talk about.
You're welcome. Humbug.
Let's talk about another good reason to not buy crappy gifts that no one's going to use and spend your money more wisely. How about financial responsibility? Avoiding the debt trap, right? Overspending on Christmas gifts often leads to debt, while prioritizing quality or experiences keeps finances a little bit healthier because you're actually making better financial decisions the more you think about it. My late aunt, my cousin told me this, and he thought this was great. He thought this was a wonderful thing that she would do, but now I understand why he's terrible with money, why my aunt and my uncle were always terrible with money, and why all their kids are always terrible with money, because they had this type of mentality. But at Christmas, for her, it was more important to have a tree full of gifts. So she would go out and take a small consumer loan every Christmas to make sure that the kids all had plenty of gifts. And so she would literally go into debt just for that experience, as opposed to making it more about the experience itself and buying maybe less gifts, but making them quality gifts or something. There's lots of different ways you can do this without having to take out a fucking loan, Now, Kevin, you're really big into being smart with money and getting out of debt. You're a Dave Ramsey kind of guy too, right? So what do you think?
Yeah. Total Money Maker, I read it over a decade ago, and it like you, it changed the way I looked at money. It opened my eyes up. Now, I've been through his Mastery School of Business Coaching or financial coaching. My system is a little bit different. However, the core principles are still the same. Main thing is step 2 is get out of fucking consumer debt. If you've got the mentality that I want it now and this little plastic card will get it and I can pay twice as much as the retail price for it, you're never gonna be good with money, and you're not gonna have meaningful experiences because you're always gonna have stress in the back of your mind due to the finances, and it's only gonna cause problems between you and your partner, you and your wife, you and your kids. If they love opening that new PlayStation or Xbox, but if it puts you in the hole on a credit card, you're not going to be able to experience them opening it and feeling that joy with them, because you're going to be paying on it for a year. But that's the mentality that most of people have right now. I want it now. So they don't want to take the time to map out a plan to get the things that they want. They'd rather just put it on a credit card and deal with it later. And that's why there's such a big financial disconnect with people my age and even younger.
Yeah, one thing that Dave also talks about is that when you do that, when you put things on a credit card, there's also an emotional disconnect with it too, right? Like it's almost like you don't even think about it. It's almost like, oh no, it's free, right? This is a free thing. And then later when you get hit with your credit card bill at the end of the month and like all the, finance charges and shit, you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
But in the moment you have this sort of emotional immediate gratification that gets satisfied, almost like a dopamine rush.
And it's a high, it's a dopamine hit that you get because you got something that you really wanted. But like you said, the crash comes very shortly after when you see that credit card statement and all the interest you accrued with it. And you see that a lot with especially men when they've started making a little bit more money at work. They maybe got a $400 or $500 a month raise. So they go out and buy a Corvette at $600, $700 a month. So not only did they eliminate that $400 raise, they've now back in the whole $200 extra dollars. And so within 6 months, they hate that fucking Corvette.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I have an example of how ingrained this is in our culture. When I was living up in Oregon, it's very common up there with younger people to live communally. And I don't mean in a hippie commune. I mean like 6 people in one apartment kind of communally. And so me living by myself in a 2-bedroom apartment on my income was considered outlandish. It was considered unheard of in the town of Oregon where I lived. And so there was actually one instance where, I bring a gal over to my apartment to, Netflix. But, and it usually impressed them. However, there was one where she actually made a comment about she doesn't want to get into a relationship with anyone who's like in debt. And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, your place is so nice. And I said, what does that have to do with being in debt? And she's like, how did you afford all this? And I said, with money, with my job. She's like, you didn't put it on a credit card? And I'm like, no. Like, it's so common in our culture that she assumed I was thousands of dollars in debt because I had a fully furnished apartment all to myself. Isn't that insane?
Well, I mean, it's really common. I had a friend, he reaches out to me and he says, hey man, what's your credit score? He asks me, right? And I'm like, let me look. And I went and looked. I was like, it's 820 or something. He goes, what the hell, dude? That's like almost perfect credit. And he goes, I'm at like 5 something and I can't get a loan on blah, 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 because they don't want to lend out to people that don't have a credit score of over whatever. And he goes, so they were telling me what you could do to raise your credit score is to find someone that has a good credit score like yours, and then put me as an authorized purchaser on your account. Like you don't have to actually, like I'm not actually buying on your account, but I basically get to suck some of that good money juice off you, and then raise my credit score. And, he goes,
And you're like,
yeah, and that's what I told him. I go, dude, I love you, man. I'm not doing that for you. I'm not doing that for you. Yeah. And I said, and he was the kind of guy too, where I sent him a copy of my first book. Right. I sent him an autographed free copy of my book because he's like, he and I go way back. And I go, did you read my chapter on how anyone can be rich? I go, how many credit cards you got? 5 credit cards he has. They're all maxed out. And I'm like, you need to get the fuck out of your consumer debt, man. Like you need to start the debt snowball like right now. Go read that chapter again. Get out of consumer debt right now, man. Stop buying shit you don't need and stuff you can't afford.
Yeah, it comes back to guys not understanding the tool. They're using the hammer and hitting their own thumb and wondering what the fuck they're doing wrong. Like, hey, I don't get it. Yeah, I don't get it. Why am I not hitting the nail? Why am I not hitting the nail? It's like, dude, you're not paying attention to what you're doing. You're asking me for help, and you just keep fucking yourself over. You need to understand that the tool of a credit card is supposed to be like an elongated check. And the whole purpose is that way you don't have to carry cash on you that risks you being possibly robbed. You can cancel a transaction if need be, if you do get robbed. And with the case of credit cards, the transaction is near instantaneous, so you can just pay and be on your way. That's the whole point, is that even if you go someplace cashless, like even, back in the day, what did like MasterCard and Visa always advertise? Oh, most accepted in the world. So when you're traveling and you don't have to use the cash exchange, you can just pay with the credit card and it'll do the conversion for you. Things like that. People don't understand the purpose of that tool. Myron talks about this on the Money Mondays all the time, is that the whole point is you don't spend anything on the credit card you don't already have in your bank account, and ideally you pay it off immediately. The only time you're supposed to leave anything on there for any extended period of time, if you're smart about it, is in emergencies. If like say your car dies and you need to buy a brand new vehicle, you need to drop, like you got a $10,000 credit card, you need to drop $4,000 on a vehicle. Boom, you drop $4,000 on a vehicle, but you did the math also and know that you will be able to pay it off. You'll just pay a little bit more in interest in the long run. Even
better, have an emergency fund.
Well, yeah, ideally, but I'm saying like as a stopgap measure, that if you are going to utilize it for, like I said, for putting something on there longer. That's the whole point. It's only supposed to be in those rare situations. But guys like your friend, they're just putting it on there like it's free money, and it's not.
No. And here's the difference, Paul. And I think I sent Beer Club a screenshot a few days ago. I have 5 credit cards, and they're all at 0, and I just hit 776.
That's great, man. Yeah. Well, so one of the ways that I differ, like Kevin said, he differs slightly from what Dave teaches, but the fundamentals are the same. Same with me. And I like putting my 6 months, emergency fund stuff in Acorns because it grows faster. If you have it in a savings account, you're basically not keeping up with inflation. You're actually losing money. Yeah. So I like keeping that stuff in an Acorns account where it's actually growing if I don't touch it. But if I do have an emergency, I will use the credit card, and then I'll immediately pay off the credit card and then get the air miles. And then I keep a 0 balance on my credit card. And that's the way I do it. But the thing is that most credit card companies know that the average person's too stupid to play the game. And so you have to be smart enough to play the game, and then you get all the free benefits, right? Like sometimes they have cash back on cards, they have points on cards. That's all to lure
Amex
you in.
Lounge.
It's to lure you in to this, false sense that you're getting something cool, but most people are too dumb to actually play the game the way it's meant to be played. But rich people that are smart with their money, and I'm talking about truly wealthy people that are good with money, know how to play the game. They keep a 0 balance, they get the free, points and whatever. They keep it paid off before they're actually really charged any APR amount. And then, that's okay to do it if you're smart enough. Right. But,
unfortunately not most people aren't
that
mindset. My Amex card that I use, I can actually front load it. So if I have a $200 balance on it, I can actually make a $1,000 payment, and I've got an $800 credit. Basically, I've got $800 sitting there as almost a debit card, so that I can use it. Not all cards can do that, but you can do that. And there is ways you can learn to leverage rewards, but if you're not disciplined enough to have the money in the bank, if you buy it on a credit card, pay it off right then, don't get into that first. Don't try to do that in the beginning. Get a little bit more savvy and then move on to something like that later on, especially when it comes to giving stuff to other people, for gift giving, that kind of stuff. Don't use it. Don't use credit cards to try to just impress somebody by giving them something at Christmas that, like, I think we all agree here, most people really don't care.
Or deserve.
Yeah. Or deserve.
Well, exactly. And then kind of going back to the building memories, like one of the things that I tell guys all the time is that you have to invest the time, right? People keep wanting to invest the money, but the thing is, to build a meaningful memory, you got to invest the time. And it's the same thing with the financial responsibility in general. Is the person earning? Like, if you want to buy somebody an awesome Christmas present, have they been good to you? Like your girl, like, instead of her going like, hint, hint, I want this super expensive thing, but I've been a nagging like hag for the last like year for no reason, but I feel like I'm entitled, but you haven't done anything to earn it.
So what you're
whereas
saying,
if she
Viking,
has been a good girl, you're going like, yeah, you she says something, you're like, hey, I've earned that. I'll get that for you.
So what you're saying, Viking, is for your woman, Santa Claus is very real. And he is making a list. And he's keeping track.
Yep.
Excel spreadsheet, baby.
There we go.
Well, girls have that that checklist they keep in the back of their brain, right, of all the things you did wrong, so that way when they snap on you, they can vent, and then they give you the whole laundry list of your fuck ups, right?
Remember 8 years ago when you forgot my name during sex?
Yeah, if you're doing good, none of that shit ever comes up. But as soon as they feel some type of way, then they're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at you.
That's why you never use their name during sex, and you just tell them you like how I fuck you, don't you?
Baby, oh darling, yeah.
Yeah, you don't even have to say all that.
Yeah, I like to, but that's
so
me.
Let's talk about the next reason here. How about your own emotional well-being, right? Less clutter equals less stress, right? Buying fewer, better things prevents clutter, which contributes to a calmer, more organized living space. What do you think about that? And Mike probably could chime in on that because he's all about the decor and stuff like that. I don't know, but what do you guys think about that?
You definitely don't want to turn into like an old man. I guess we're talking to men here, right? So like an old man with a whole bunch of shit. Like, so Vince, you're probably still in the chat. I love Rob to death. The other guy in Masculine Geek, but I could not live in that room where he keeps his archive of all things nerdy from all time. Like I said, I love the guy, but that's not for me. But you need to strike a balance. Now, some people go with like minimalism or like the Spartan kind of living thing. To me, that kind of like sucks the life out of everything, or it has no life to it. But you can't go overboard. It's about striking a balance. So like I like to go antique shopping, for example, and I like to get certain antiques, but I don't buy something just to buy it. I only get it if it does what I need it to. Because if you overdo it on antiques, your house will look like your grandma lives there eventually. So you need to do what's within your budget. And we talked about this, it was like, I think almost a year ago when I did the Dragon episode on interior design. You need to do what makes sense. Just because that table is white and you like white and it's a $1,200 table doesn't mean you need to buy it. Like, how often are you going to use it? The biggest thing is ROI. What's your return on investment on anything? So I'm taking the long way around here, but basically the answer is almost always somewhere in the middle. It's never empty apartment. Oh, got to be on that grind 24/7. Just eat, sleep, and work and make that bank. Versus hoarding up hundreds of thousands of dollars of toys and figurines, or even, I don't know, bottles of wine. If you're not a millionaire with a wine cellar, why do you have 1,000 bottles of wine in your house? You know, like, why are you hoarding newspapers from the 1950s? If that catches fire, you're fucked. You know, so don't be doing stuff like that. The answer is almost always somewhere in the middle.
Don't be a hoarder.
Yeah.
Triggering my buddy Jason, who actually got a special acknowledgement himself in my book in the very beginning. Jason
Awesome.
comes from the Masculine Empowerment Network. That's where I met him. Done a few hot dude cons with him. He shared a room with me in Vegas. He stayed at my place for Dallas. So yeah, I gotta give him a shout out. But yeah,
Yeah, and anybody who likes Hannibal Smith, you know, from the A team.
And what you
AJ,
see,
I need to
Robert-
ask you. Do you think that I'm a hoarder?
I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one.
Are you a little bit of a hoarder, Huds?
Yeah, so I have to say that with this Lego hobby, it has become interesting. I actually have started breaking down a lot of sets where I only want to have like really perfect displays. I do like that aspect of having that around me, just because it's fun to look at and it tells all these different stories. But Mike is absolutely right. It's not minimalist and it's not hoarding. You need to find that in the middle kind of place. And so that's why, I kind of went overboard and now I'm pulling back. And I've got bins and bins and bins of different sets that I'm just breaking down so that I can have a more clean living situation. When you have a clean home and a clean, organized home, it does so much for your mental psyche.
Yes.
I used to every single time I would have a date at my old place when I was going through all the stuff with Hinge and learning that online dating, and then I was just cycling multiple dates a week. Absolutely fantastic. When I was doing that, I would always make a point that before the girl would come over, I would do a full clean of my place. And that allowed me to feel a lot more relaxed and confident. And I noticed that once I started doing that, all these dates started to become so much easier. There was no struggle. Like my close rate became damn near 100%, all just because of cleaning that aspect of my head.
So what you're saying, Huds, is the key to this is self-awareness.
Yeah, it's a big part of it.
Let's just put it this way. When I was at Huds' place, I was on an air mattress on the floor, and I was surrounded on 5 sides by Legos. I was worried that if I rolled wrong, I was going to have a freaking avalanche of Lego on top of me.
Yeah. The first step in healing is admitting that you have a problem. Yeah.
I just know that in the case of the apocalypse, when I finally decide that, I want some Legos, I know where I'm going, either Hud's place or Jack Napier's place. Now, I'll probably get shot, not gonna lie, if they're still alive, but if they see I'm friendly, they might let me in, as long as I'm any bitter or any bullshit.
I won't shoot Viking. I won't shoot you.
Yeah. Hey, Viking, go to Jack's place.
I just want to see the Lego maze you got set up to kill the zombies.
The zombies stepping on the Lego.
Yeah.
I do want to jump in to say that I definitely agree with this. Less clutter, less stress. We kind of touched on it before, but you start amassing things as you get older, and if you're ever in a position where you say, "I need a bigger house to fit all my stuff," maybe change that mindset and say, "Man, let's have a yard sale. Let's get rid of some of the stuff that we don't use." I just signed a contract to build a new house that's closer to my office. I've got tired of the hour-and-a-half commute. And when I first started looking at houses, I'm in about 1,800 square feet right now. I was looking at 2,300 square feet. And I'm thinking, well, I need to upgrade. But then I finally, with talking to my dad, and he's like, well, why do you want one so big? Why don't you get one with a bigger yard so that way you can do the outside, because you'd like to be outside so much. And it made sense. And so I found one that's about 1,700 square feet, about $45,000 cheaper than the ones I was looking at. But that was my mindset. Even being as financially savvy as I like to think I am, I was thinking, okay, if I'm going to move, I need to upgrade. But I don't, because I don't even fill this 1,800 square feet up. But if you're in a position where you're saying, hey, babe, we need to go back into debt or get a bigger house because we just got too much stuff and we're getting more stuff. And that may be time to reevaluate your situation, to maybe get rid of some stuff that you have instead of buying something to fit more shit in.
And to your point, and can we go back to Kevin real quick? Kevin,
Sure.
show us that shelf behind you. See what I'm talking about here? Can we solo? There we go. So look at that shelf, guys. How every shelf has stuff on it, but it's not overloaded. And I imagine that those things actually mean things to you. Like I see what is a brandy decanter up there, and I see some ships.
Yeah, that's actually an antique that my dad bought when he was younger than I am now, that I didn't inherit, but he basically passed it down to me. All the stuff on the second shelf up is stuff that I bought from traveling overseas. I don't do the t-shirts. I don't do the trinkets that say Ecuador on it. I actually go to thrift stores in other countries, and I buy the stuff that has more of a meaning for me. Like the one on the right is from Petra, some stuff from Jordan, some stuff from Ireland. So, and that's how and the other stuff, a lot of it except my Bitcoin wallet right there, probably came from thrift stores or something that I found at a yard sale that I like that I got for $5.
Yeah, so there we go. That's a perfect example of balance where the shelves are not empty and he has shelves with things on them that actually mean something to him, but they're not overloaded. And that's the key, is does it mean something to you? Like Paul, made fun of Huds and I at the beginning of the show here because I just bought a new Lego set.
Let's see it. Let's see it.
It's still under construction.
Ooh.
So that is the Endurance, the ship that got stuck in the Antarctic ice. But I bought it because it does mean something to me, because I love the Victorian and Edwardian era of history, where it was like the age of exploration and the Industrial Revolution, all sorts of cool shit was happening. And so I've already cleared a spot for it on the top of the center of the bookcase right next to my box of Anno, because I love Anno. So I didn't buy this Lego set because it's a new Lego set, I must have it. This is a sailing ship from the Edwardian era. And so because that period of history means so much to me, that was an automatic buy. But if you go throughout my house, it's not loaded with Lego like every square inch. It's just
it's not like Hud's house, basically. Yeah,
but they're placed in a certain way. So again, balance and meaning. That's the thing.
All right, let me. I just want to give a shout out here to Elena.
Shame this horse.
Yes, we definitely want to shame these horse. Thank you for showing up today, Elena. Let's talk about quality over quantity again. If you guys are a little bit left leaning and you guys are all about the green, being more green, how about fewer disposals equals less waste? So quality items contribute less to landfills, supporting sustainability and reducing environmental impact.
You got that from ChatGPT, didn't you?
Yes, it's very woke.
No, I actually, I unironically completely agree with this. Guys, you're grown-ass men out there. Don't get plastic plates or paper plates or paper napkins in your house. Cloth napkins you could wash in the washing machine. Actual ceramic plates. And yes, I am in favor of high quality, like aluminum or stainless steel straws, not plastic straws or paper straws. Fuck that shit. But actual aluminum straws that you put in the dishwasher and you use forever. So yes, when it's reasonable and it makes sense, that's the thing. Does it make sense? Then yes, I'm 100% in support of something like this.
Mike, question: when you become a father, cloth diapers or disposable diapers?
Cloth.
Wash the poop or throw the poop out?
Cloth diaper. I already have a family that I know who does this, and their secret is a separate washing machine in the garage that only does the diapers. And then when your kids are all grown, you get rid of that washing machine.
Yep.
That way the poop never touches your regular laundry.
Yeah, there is, because my sister and my now ex-brother-in-law did that, and they taught us how to do it. We actually ended up not doing it ourselves because we didn't have the extra washing machine to be able to do that. So, because we the building that we end up moving to has pay machines, so they get maintenance for free. But if for us to add that extra shit to that, that'd be a violation of the HOA policy. So can't do it. Plus, possibly a cross-contamination issue with the machine in general. So that's why you got to be careful of that.
This just seems like a no-brainer to me. Like, why not just do disposable? This seems like so much extra work. Am I crazy?
Well,
when it comes
once
to
again,
babies' diapers, get it the fuck out of here. I
It's
am
like
not
a lot of
washing
things.
clothes
If
that
you
have
have
been
the right
spoiled.
system, it comes down to a lot of things. If you have the correct system, yes, it is not quite as convenient, but with the system, it is way more environmentally friendly. Now, going to the environmentally friendly part, this is an argument I make going back to the PC stuff, because one of the things that you see a lot of streamers or content creators do, I even had to rescue Myron from this mistake, because I advised him not to do this, and he did it. He bought a pre-built. He bought one of the Asus machines, and they're not a bad computer. It's above average computer, solid machine. But as I pointed out to him, which is like kind of my sales pitch, which is just kind of stating the obvious, you have like over $500,000 worth of audio equipment that I'm looking at. I'm like, with just the shit I can see in front of me right here, and you have a slightly above average computer running everything. I'm just like, you got the money. You should just invest and get the machine that you're not going to have to like replace, because this is the problem that a lot of good people do. Even my brother did this, like, oh, I'm going to buy a pre-built. I even did this back in the day. I bought an E-machine and ended up having a ton of BIOS issues, and the thing was a piece of junk. I was able to play World of Warcraft on it for like a fucking year. I digress, but the point is, you're going to get all those fucking hassles if you buy a pre-built piece of shit that's been cheaped out on usually the power supply or the motherboard, so that way they can actually make the money on the machine and get the markup. Otherwise, they don't make any money on it, and it's pointless for them to do it. So you end up getting a substandard machine that seems like a great deal. I'll just fulfill the warranty with iBuyPower or whatever. I'll just send it in. What they don't tell you is that because of how often those machines break down, you can have anywhere from a 1 week wait for your machine to get serviced after it arrives to 2 years. But nobody reads the fucking fine print. So all that time you are out of having your machine that you thought this was going to be super fucking convenient, no brainer, no problem. And now you literally have it die in less than a year typically. And now they're going to argue with you about the warranties, because most of them are only a year. And they're going to try to get it put back on you, then charge you an assload of more money to fix it.
I'm one of those guys. I've been working in IT for like 20 years, and I built my own computers, and I've come to the decision that there's some pre-builts that are better than others, right? Like Asus all suck ass, Acers suck ass, but otherwise, like, building it yourself is more of an ego thing than anything. And I'm like, I'm done with that. I'm gonna buy
buyer beware.
I'm gonna
if you do your research, there are good pre-builts, yes, but that
I like Lenovo's. Lenovo's.
I love Lenovo. That's what I'm using
I've
right
never
now.
had a problem with Lenovo.
If you want a happy medium for versus pre-built versus build your own, go to an actual integrator that knows what the hell they're doing. Like, my machine is
like
technically a pre-built. It's a CLX. I haven't had any issues with it. I got a hell of a deal on it from the Military Exchange's website of all places. If I built this computer when I bought it, it would have cost me about $3,500. I paid $2,500 for this machine, and it's still pretty decent. It's got a 7900X for the processor, and it's got a 4070 Ti for the graphics card, 850 watt power supply. Top motherboard you can get for the AM5 at the time. So I'm happy with it. I didn't build it myself, but
a common question I get asked is like, oh, what do I want a new computer? What do I got to get? I'm just like, what are you trying to do with it? Right tool for the right job.
I never answer that question anymore, because people are basically just want validation for what they're going to get anyway. So I just go, what do you think about getting? They're like, oh, I'm getting a Dell. I'm like, yeah, it sounds good. I just
that's what I do now, is that, like, when people ask me that fresh and fit, I'll ask them what they're trying to do, and if they say, well, I'm buying this, I'll just be like, well, let me know. I'll let you know if it's shit or not.
Yeah, I used to do that, and I'd give people recommendations, and then they would just go get what they're going to get anyway. And I was like, why do you even fucking ask me? I get mad. So now I just go, oh, what do you think about getting? Sounds good.
Yeah, hey, just get an Apple.
You don't know what you're doing anyway. So let's get to meaningful experiences. How about this? A good reason for spending money on meaningful experiences over crap you don't need is stronger relationships, right? Shared experiences fosters deeper connections with loved ones compared to exchanging material gifts. What do you guys think about that?
100% agree.
Bullshit.
Okay. Let's hear it. Let's fucking hear it, AJ. Just kidding.
Again, back to my ex. I'm gonna sound bitter today. It's the holidays.
Who hurt you, AJ?
Yeah, who hurt
everybody? I hurt myself. It was my decisions. took that ex on a week trip to Prague. Took her up to Vermont for wintertime / engagement. Took a road trip across the country to Texas. Took a road trip to Phoenix to see her mother, and it all went down the shitter. So just saying. That's why I get tattoos when I travel foreign countries. So I at least remember that part. That's my keepsake. Is I always get tattooed when I'm in a foreign country.
There you go. There you go. That's what the 304s do too. Do you get the butterfly tattoo on your lower back, or
No, that's my next one.
Oh, Kevin's got something here.
yeah? You want to jump in on this?
I'm sorry, I hit the head. What was the question?
Oh, right.
Oh, you
So-
unmuted. That's why I thought you had something to say.
No, it's cool.
Oh, no.
So what we're saying is stronger relationships, shared experiences fosters deeper connection with loved ones compared to exchanging material gifts.
Well, of course, yeah. Especially if it comes to romantic relationships, I think the memories can foster a stronger relationship than material things. Because if something goes bad, or you take a break, she throws all the shit you bought for her away in a fit of haste. Yeah, that doesn't help bring relationship back together. But you know, I guess to each his own. You know, I mean, like you were saying earlier, that dating the Moldovan, I'd rather have a bracelet. I'd rather have a ring. Well, take her to Walmart and get her a 25-cent ring out of the machine.
That's a good one. I'll do that next time.
Does it have to be 24 karat gold with a diamond in it, or you just said ring? That's what you wanted. I think, but to each their own. But like AJ, you kind of touched on it, or in a joking way, but also trying to create these memories. If it causes a clash, it can show you early on that you're not compatible. But buying her everything she wants that she asked for might not show that. But that if you go to a hotel and you find out that she doesn't like the way you sleep, or she doesn't like the way you interact with other people, that can let you know early that relationship probably doesn't have stay power. But if you're just breaking the bank to keep her happy with material things, nothing's ever going to change.
Well, one thing I want to add too, you got to understand, why are you doing it, right? Are you doing it for a covert contract because you're like, oh, I'm going to take her on a trip to impress her? Or have you been dating her for a while and you test her ability to follow your lead, you test her interest in you, and she's earned something fun like a trip? No,
I'm doing it because I want to have sex in a cabin in the woods. That's why I'm doing it.
Yeah, so you like cabins in the woods and you like having sex in front of the fireplace on a bearskin rug.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Yeah, so why are you doing it? It's really, I think you will determine whether that's a good idea to do or not, right?
Well,
do you want to do it, and does she deserve it? It's very simple.
They don't always have to be extravagant. You don't have to spend $5,000 on the nicest cabin. If you're a guy like me, I enjoy camping. I enjoy boating. Let's see how she reacts to that. Hey, we're going to go to the campground for $15 a night. I've already got all the camping equipment, everything that we need to stay comfortable. Let's see how you deal with that.
Well, that's why, I said a day trip out to the hot springs in Glenwood for me, that doesn't break the bank. It's like $25 to get in, to get in for each person. So that's $50. And then, drinks, you might spend another $50 or whatever. So maybe $100. And then you go home and bang her at home, but still you have the experience. It's really not going to break the bank, especially when you're a top G like me. Anyway.
You don't bang her in the hot springs?
Bang her in the hot springs, yes. That's also a meaningful experience. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
If it's the third date, don't fly her across the country to stay in LA's.
No.
Yeah, Huds.
That's
no, just giving you shit.
No, I know you are, but that's where I'm coming from. The reason I wanted to go away, so it doesn't cost any more to bring somebody else with me, I'm already paying for the hotel. I'm already paying for the gas. It doesn't cost any more to bring somebody else. So it's what I want to do. Bring her along.
Yeah, but you didn't plan a $5,000 trip just to try to impress her. Because we've talked about on other shows as Men of Now and even here, if you start out with that kind of energy and you can't keep it up, bro, she's going to resent you. So if you go into a relationship leading with your wallet, making her think that at a drop of a dime you're going to go to Switzerland because you did that 3 months in, but 6 months later now you're broke and you can't even take her to fucking McDonald's, she's not going to stick around, bro. But you made in the beginning of the relationship by trying to lead with your wallet and trying to impress.
Yeah, you're setting that expectation from the beginning. Like, hey, I'm Mr. Moneybags. Come and use me.
Yeah.
The couple I was talking about yesterday in the beer club that's sitting next to who I was at a Red Robin. guy was like screwing up left and right, and then he starts leading with his wallet to double down, and then she wanted to go home, and then she realized what's going on, so she's taking advantage of it. I'm just laughing my ass off the whole time.
Yeah. When it comes to building those memories, though, that's something I've advocated for a lot. Like, I make sure that my girl has at least one day off consistently a week. That way I can plan spontaneous things. So she knows it's always going to be on the day. But as the example I gave before about having the park sticker for the state parks, that's the way, like, Kevin said about going out camping and stuff like that. I mean, that's where I basically took her on our first date, was to state park up north. We had to drive like 40 minutes there. It's like, if we do this one day a week, just that $30 for a state park sticker, I've got like a place every weekend I could go in the state as long as I got a car. So I got to pay for gas money, and that's probably, depending on the gas mileage or whatever on the vehicle, that could be a little bit more costly. But it's not a huge investment for the kind of memories you can create by visiting all these awesome places that have national monuments and history. And if she's cool with outdoor stuff and going on adventures, it's a very safe, fun way to go. And if you got kids, they can come too.
And that $30 investment, you can take all your girls there. And then it's multiple memories that you're creating with multiple women. It's a one-time fee. That's very low investment. Yeah, I love that idea. Yeah.
I mean, simplicity is bliss, right? That's where a lot of guys, they think they need to do the super extravagant things to overly impress her. That's where the more is better, like chimp brain kicks in. Whereas I say all the time to guys, I'm like, you got to remember, less is more. Women care about the little things. And it's just like when they want to be lied to, but they get mad if you lie about big things. They don't get mad typically if you lie about small things. It's the important things that they typically get mad about, right? And that's the one of those nuances that a lot of guys just don't fucking know. And it sounds like, well, that's crazy. That can't be true, Viking. Just like, once you know, you know.
Yeah.
So Julian, typically you don't do camping on a first date. Typically you do the camping trip after you've already been smashing, so she trusts her body, trusts you around her body and everything.
Second or third date.
Yeah.
So the next one I have here is this goes under the financial responsibility category, but it promotes mindful spending. Right? Choosing lasting items or meaningful experiences encourages intentional and thoughtful financial habits. Right, you're putting more thought into it. You're not just impulse buying. But
here's one for you on that.
Okay.
I've started practicing this whenever I want to make a purchase, like crap like this, which is important to me, and I do love it, even if I don't know all the characters. This was a hell of a lot of fun to build, and
I'll help you with that later. I know all the characters.
But when it comes to the mindful spending, every time I'm going to, or I'm considering a big purchase, I always sleep on it. It's something I'd never done before, but now I always sleep on it. I take
Does your girl
one
know?
day. Does my girl know what?
Never mind.
Yeah. So, but that, I think that's really important when we're to stay away from impulse purchasing. Yeah, go ahead and put it in your cart and get excited about it, but always sleep on it, because you'll find that maybe the next day it's not as important as it felt in that exact moment.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of making decisions quickly. I'm sort of big fan of Think and Grow Rich, but there's no reason why you can't make those types of decisions in the moment relatively quickly, right? If you just ask yourself, do I really need this? Am I going to use this? If the answer is, I think I do need this, or I'm going to use this, then it's like, okay, I'm going to spend some money on this sort of thing. But if you really think about it and go, am I going to use this in 6 months? Am I going to use this in 6 years? Is it going to be just sitting on the shelf or gathering dust? I used to like to collect like knives and swords and nunchucks, like a lot of guys do. I have a
Mall
whole
weapons.
I have a whole fucking box of knives and shit. I've been collecting since I was a teenager. It's literally all collecting dust in my garage. And so whenever I get knife catalogs periodically, right? I get like the Bud K catalog. I don't know if you guys ever get Bud K. It's fucking rad. And Viking knows what I'm talking about. You get the Bud K. So what I'll do is I'll thumb through it and I go, oh, that looks fucking awesome. Am I going to use that?
It's
No.
funny that
And so-
Huds mentioned.
Yeah.
I apologize. Paul.
So I throw it away and just don't buy it.
It's funny Huds mentioned sleeping on it on page 125 going to 126 of my book. Where's my camera? I do talk about, hey, personal financial decisions. Don't be afraid to sleep on the major ones.
Yeah, the key thing is recognizing the weight of the decision that you're making and the amount of time you might need to contemplate it. Paul is correct. You can make decisions quickly once you build that mentality, and it can be very advisable to build slow. I tell guys when you're training for anything, you got to start slow because you don't know what you're doing and build confidence. If you're trying to get good with a knife, you're not trying to go quick. You're learning the proper method. You're using it and learning to do it, and you're going more slow at first until you master the technique so you don't like spaz out. Like, you know, when you're learning how to run as a kid, you're going to trip. If you're messing with a knife and you trip, fingers go flying sometimes, you know, bad things happen. So you have to start slow and then build speed.
You know what's fascinating though? So let's talk about big purchases. Guys will literally, without thinking about it, drop $7 or $8 grand on a trip to go see a concert somewhere, right? Without even thinking about it. They're like, oh fuck yeah, I'm gonna go see this concert. And then they'll buy the tickets, they'll buy the plane tickets, they'll buy the hotel, and then when it's all said and done, it all adds up to, you know, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 for the whole trip, especially if they're bringing people along. But then when it's a big decision that can actually benefit them, like let's say coaching service to save their marriage, it's a 12-week thing. Now they want to sleep on it. It's like, okay, now you've been having this problem for how long? Will sleeping on it one more night help you? Because you've already been sleeping on this shit and laying up late at night and you're losing sleep because of this problem. If you're sleeping on it one more night, is it really going to help you? You know, you got to think about stuff like that.
I think the only person that's spending that money on concert tickets is Huds to go see Swift.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that is I was gonna say
I'm a
that's another
Swiftie, bro.
personification of analysis paralysis, like when you're overthinking something and self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
There's an easy hack for this, guys, so you don't spend a whole bunch of money going around seeing different concerts and stuff like that. Move to Vegas. And then whoever that artist is, they will eventually come through town, and then you just drive down the road.
The concerts come to you.
I will say this right now. The most expensive ticket I've ever bought was $150 for pit tickets to Slayer, but that was also Slayer's final tour. So I'm like, I'm going to go see Slayer for their last tour, and it's only $150 for the pit. Hell yeah, I'm getting in the pit.
What you got, Kevin?
Mike's point, too, or you find a friend that lives in Vegas, so that way you got a place to stay when that person's playing there. So there's always a way you can go around.
Or make more money, and then you can afford a better hotel, and then you have to stay with Mike.
But that's like getting the bigger house to hold more stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I'm not a huge believer, but I did love the album that came out like 2015, 2016. I totally even forget what it is, but that was good. Like what? Sorry Not Sorry? Wasn't that one of them or something? No. Or it was just Sorry. That song was so good. That album was so
Julian
good.
stepped in and he didn't realize it.
Didn't Bieber get diddled? Didn't he get diddled by Diddy?
Yeah, he is probably.
That's so sad.
Allegedly.
Yeah, we don't know. That's the theory.
All right.
Which people were commenting on that on X. Is that Dad? That's kind of fucked up. Like we've been, people on the internet have been razzing him about that for years. Making accusations about him, and the whole time he might have been a victim.
Yeah, that's
sucks to be a man.
Because guys don't care. Let's go ahead and go around the horn and give final thoughts on all this stuff, and then let people know where people could find you online. We'll start with Mike.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Yeah.
I don't know about all the Swiftie believer stuff. In this house, there's only two bands, Ailstorm and Powerwolf.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for inviting me today, Paul. It's been a wonderful weekend. This ship is a 9-hour build so far, so I probably have about 1 hour left. Then it's going to go right behind me, so you'll see it next week. Guys, I'm just a chill guy. I'm just a chill guy on Instagram. On X, I raw dog the internet into an early grave, so choose where you want to follow me, depending on what you're feeling that day. And I am a polar explorer in training, as you can tell by my 10-year-old turtleneck. Thank you very much for attending the Dragon Ship, where the rising tide raises all ships. And have a happy Thanksgiving, and God bless America.
All right. Huds.
Oh, speaking of God bless America, Trump won 45-47, saving America again. So it's going to be an interesting couple months as we see how things change. And actually, it's interesting. I just read something yesterday that Trump is in talks of pushing down the credit card percentage, that it can only be capped at 10% instead of these like 29% or crazy amounts that we have, which could be very, very interesting when we talk about consumer debt. But again, that's just all initial talks. My final thoughts on this entire thing. It's definitely good to take a look at and discuss. I have to say that don't put so much pressure on yourself about materialistic things. And if you are with a woman or in an environment where your family is very much materialistic, it's a very shallow way of living. And I would probably reconsider the company that you have. Experiences really are the most important because they do create those memories that you share with people for the rest of your life. This paint by numbers that I have, that's been hanging up in our living room since the very first time that I got it. It just makes me smile. Every time I look at it, it makes me smile because I remember that first weekend in Asbury Park as I was developing the relationship with my girl. It's those types of things. It's unmatched. If you want to reach out to me about anything to do with relationships or dating, I'm happy to help answer any questions. Right down there, Instagram is the easiest way to do so, at the Hudsman. And then catch us every Tuesday, where we all on the Men of Now channel. We're going through all types of different topics, and definitely stay tuned because right now Men of Now is closed, but in January we are going to be reopening our doors. That's all I got.
All right. Tarl.
All right. So I would end it off today with, a couple of maxims, right, from the trades. Measure twice, cut once, right tool for the right job, right technique for the task at hand. So if you follow those three maxims, you can basically accomplish any task. You just got to assess what you need to do, and all this should be applied to anything you buy. And if you actually compound the benefits you get from things, as well as the amount of maintenance and downtime due to replacement, you will save yourself the most valuable thing in the world, your own time. Same thing with not going on trips with a bunch of stress, or go on trips out with people that are going to stress you out the whole time or make your trip miserable, which would be a waste of your fucking time and create a bad memory rather than a good memory. So you need to do your due diligence, validate who's going to be in that circle and gets that privilege, make sure they earn it, and you will get better results. So like I said, measure twice, cut once, make sure right tool for the right job, right task for the task at hand, or right technique for the task at hand.
All right. And where can people
Find
find
me
you?
in Viking Paradigm. My bad. I always forget to self-promote. This is a bad habit of mine. I just want to give people the free candy. Like, hey, here's the truth. Run with it. I want you to win. Run, my friends, run. But find
Free
me at
candy
Viking Paradigm.
Candy out the back of the van, right?
Well, my closing thoughts. This was a great conversation. The two main things that stuck out to me is financial responsibility and emotional well-being, because I think those two go hand in hand. If your financial responsibility is on point, your emotional well-being will follow right thereafter. 3 years ago, I made the final payment on my house, which made me completely debt-free. And some people still look at me like I got a dick sticking out of my forehead when I tell them that. Why did you do that? And I think I was 43 at the time, so I could say debt-free at 43, but there was a weight that was lifted off my shoulders that had been there my entire adult life, so I didn't even know it was there. And that really helped with my emotional well-being. I didn't have to depend on my career as much as I did before. I didn't owe anybody anything except taxes, utilities, and insurance. And so my emotional well-being really came out of its shell. And so financial responsibility, especially in the holidays, remember what's important. The memories are more important than material things that are going to break or get thrown away eventually. And making those memories with the people that you love is more important than buying them shit that they don't need. You know, all of this talk we've had, a phrase kept popping into my head from the movie Fight Club. Tyler Durden said, the things we own end up owning us. And that is more true nowadays than it was back in 1999 when that movie came out, especially with the economy the way it is, inflation the way it is, prices are all going crazy over the roof. That means more now than it did back then. So keep that in mind when you're going to make that purchase, if it's really worth it or not. Is it going to help your emotional well-being? Is it going to help you be more financially responsible? Just take a second to think about it before you just go out and do it. Those are my final thoughts. If you want to find me, like Hud said, we do a show every Tuesday at Men of Now. So you can like, comment, subscribe. Any of our videos we already have, ask questions in the comments. We will discuss that. You can find me at klewis_NC on Instagram. I'm not very active on there, but I will answer DMs. But other than that, Men of Now is closed right now. But if you want to check out our website, it's menofnow.us.
All right. AJ.
Oh, I don't have much to put on this topic as Christmas time. I'm kind of going lone wolf over the last couple of years, but I did put my links there. Things that I would highly recommend buying for loved ones that don't cost you a lot of money is buy the 4 books that are out right now for the Thor's dominant masculine presence. Thor's book, Paul's book, Wraith's, mine. I'd also recommend Cappy's Bachelor Pad Economics, even though it's from 2013. All that information still applies today. You can just adjust for inflation as necessary. That'll help you out with not only finances, but like buying a house, living on your own, going the minimalist if you want to go that way. Also, Curse of the High IQ is another book I'd recommend that you pick up for yourself or your loved ones that are a little bit on the smarter side of things, because it allows them to understand where they are and it kind of puts them in that semi-minimalist perspective. But that's all I got.
All right. And then for me, I would say, so I'm a big proponent of this is why I picked the topic today, right? I'd much rather not go into consumer debt, buying a bunch of people gifts that I don't need. I do not buy all my coworkers gifts. Like if you're one of those people that goes around giving all your coworkers something because you feel obligated to, just know that you are not obligated to buy your coworkers a fucking thing. Okay. Even if they buy you something, just be like, thank you. And then I never buy anybody anything. Okay. I only buy for my immediate family. I buy for my parents. I buy for my kids. I might buy something for Nurse Chick if she acts right. But otherwise, I'm not spending money on everybody I fucking know who's ever lived ever. It's pointless. And most people don't value the stuff that you give them anyway. So don't waste your money on it. And when you do spend that kind of money, buy either quality or buy something that's going to create a memory. That's what I would recommend. One thing that Nurse Chick she found online that I think is awesome, because I always talk about tell guys to invite chicks back to your house and use Jenga as the reason, right? Like, hey, you want to go back to my house? I'll challenge you to a game of Jenga. I got a bottle of wine, right? Well, Nurse Chick found a dirty Jenga game where as you're pulling out, you pull out a stick. It's got some kind of dirty thing in there. Get that for your girl and then play dirty Jenga with her. That will create a memory, and it's probably like $20, right? Tune into my podcast on Monday. We're going to get back to the Book of Puck series. We're going to go into his chapter on aphorism. So if you guys have never read the Book of Puck, definitely tune into my channel. I have a whole series that I've been doing. We've been going through this book. It's a must-read book in the Manosphere Red Pill. And if you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it. It's really good. It's a compilation of forum posts from the old SoSwap forums. And so we're going to be going through his chapter on aphorisms, which are all just, a series of sayings and maxims and stuff like that. It's really good. Other than that, get on my email list, guys. I'm going to drop a link to that in the chat here, where you can get a free ebook that explains why your girl loses attraction for you over time. It breaks down what we like to call the betatization process. And it's basically, I distilled down what they explained in the book, Practical Female Psychology. So get that quick, 11-page read, but it's really going to give you some insights, especially if you've fallen into a situation where you've ended up in a dead bedroom situation. So with that, let me play a commercial for Thor's book, and then otherwise we'll see you guys next week on the DragonShip. Have you ever felt like you're fading into the background? Like the world doesn't want you to stand out, to be strong, to be masculine. You're not imagining it. For decades, society has been reshaping the role of men, leaving many feeling lost and disconnected. It's time to change the narrative. In A Dominant Masculine Presence by R.P. Thor, discover the path to reclaim your strength, your confidence, and your identity as a man. This isn't about fitting into a stereotype. It's about embracing your natural traits and honing them into a powerful presence. Learn the 7 skills that every man needs to lead with authority, read body language, and control his emotions. RP Thor breaks it down with clear examples and practical advice to help you transform your life. It's time to stop apologizing for who you are. It's time to lead with pride and courage. A Dominant Masculine Presence gives you the tools to do just that. Get A Dominant Masculine Presence by RP Thor on Amazon or listen on Audible. Don't let society dictate who you should be. Claim your strength and redefine your future.